Shh, everyone. Don't make the relaxing Bruski. Look at that dude. Look at that dude just cooling.
What's up, dogs?
This is the funniest opening. What's happening right now? Oh, God.
You know, if you can't enjoy your work, what are you really doing?
Where? Are you in your backyard?
Yeah. In the backyard. Hopefully nothing crazy happens, You know
what's really funny?
What's that?
Your video and audio quality is better on your phone in your backyard than it was in the office last time.
Something's wrong, man. I don't know what's up with that place. It happened yesterday during a fundraising meeting.
What? Yeah, we're just punching along, raising them funds, huh?
Raising them funds.
So, hi, everybody. Hello. We'll just hang out for the first, 4 or 5 minutes or so. Someone was like, how far do I need to fast forward to get to the fantasy last time? I was like, that's actually something I should probably mention. Typically, we just dick around until about 10 after. Let the room populate because, I don't know, I think I want to reward the folks that are here for the live show.
There's more to life than just fantasy sports.
Stop it. There isn't. Not right
I'm
now.
Just saying.
Yeah, there's cooling in the backyard with your, what you got there? Is that an orange tree hanging over your head?
This thing is badass. It is an orange tree, and we don't pay for orange juice. And it's healthy. So, like a double or triple win in there.
There is not an opening we've ever done that's remotely close to this.
I might make this my regular spot. I don't know.
I think you should, as long as it's not raining.
Actually, I guess that doesn't happen anymore.
If it is raining, I want you to hold like one of those little parasols that just covers your head.
A tiny umbrella?
Yeah. Like just a little bit bigger than one you'd put in your drink.
You know, they make news anchors do that stuff. So why not at Sports Ethos, right?
Yes, that's right. We're sending you out into a hurricane to talk about frickin' Nick Richards or whatever's going on in a given week. I think that's Richards. Is that who I used as the background here? Wait, we're going to find it.
You know, that's a good one. You're picking some good backgrounds. You had Jalen Duren the other day.
Well, yeah, I'm getting some of them graphics out on Twitter these days, the tweeters from our Ethos Fantasy BK account. I hope you guys have liked some of these fresh new graphics I've been throwing together. I've decided to try to...
You're a regular Jose Oquendo, Dan.
He's a baseball player, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was one baseball highlights video in all of the world in 1988, and I think every kid that was in baseball watched that. So if you didn't see it, Dan, I'm going to be a little disappointed. It's kind of like the Tom Amansky school of, was it? You didn't see that?
No, but we were all about bloopers. Blooper vids was my family. My mom still has those VHS tapes of the bloopers, but not the highlights.
This was a bloopers reel. It had Jose Oquendo. He played... I don't know if it was all in one game, but he played all 9 positions. They thought this was great. So
they do that in the minors on the last day now. A lot of teams have like the one guy that bounces around. And then Will Ferrell did it. Did you see that Netflix thing?
You know, I'd hoped that would be funnier and more interesting.
Yeah,
but it's just kind of like filler material.
I don't feel like I know a lot of minor league baseball players. I don't feel like that's the right environment to throw Will Ferrell in, because there's just like, what's he going to do? It's
a baseball field.
Yeah. It's just not that silly. Baseball's not that silly.
Yeah, I disagree, Dan. I feel like I think it's really silly, but
it's silly like Camelot was silly in Monty Python, like where nothing really makes sense, but not like, you know what I mean?
Too many days on a bus.
Yeah, that kind of silly. Like silly because you're
experiencing. I think for our Hollywood producers, there's a couple of them that listen. Hollywood, directors and such. I think no, there are. I mean, they email in and tell us when we do stuff good and tell us when we do stuff bad.
Typically bad.
Typically bad. No, like I think a minor league baseball sitcom or documentary or movie, it's ripe for the comedy.
Here we go.
I think a sitcom would be great.
This is silly.
Oh, what would we got? I'm gonna have to sit. Do I have to sit forward to read stuff?
You're gonna have to lean into the phone a little bit.
Imagine popping a Spurs uni.
It is absurd.
Honestly, I think everything should just be silly. Like throw Pop in a uniform. Make him wear it.
Well, I mean, we all saw Tommy Lasorda in a uni for a long time. May he rest in peace. That was silly.
You also had Don Zimmer get tossed to the ground by Pedro Martinez. Very silly. I mean, baseball to me is inherently silly. They get upset over bat flips and did you see the guy run around the bases doing the baby?
No, I missed it. Rock the baby.
That's bad because you're a baseball guy. Like still,
you
could even threaten to do a podcast and people would take it seriously.
I keep threatening and I keep not having time to do it. It's happening, damn it! I'm doing a Dodgers show this coming year. It's gonna freaking happen. Ah well, I guess it's 10 after.
But you didn't see that?
No,
yeah, I know that those people are gonna get mad at us, but you saw the guy ran around the bases and he did the Russell Westbrook
big league game,
big like in the playoffs.
Oh, was that what that whole like Yankees Indians thing was about?
Yeah, and then after he did that, which was hilarious, it was great, and then he couldn't hit anything after that.
Yeah, that was that Josh Naylor? Am I getting that right on the Indians?
Yeah, just say yeah.
Yeah,
it was that guy.
Are you just agreeing with me, or was it actually that guy?
I'm agreeing with you.
I think the next time you guys see me,
I'm playing a classic husband role. Yes.
Looking at myself on this screen, and this beard is.
Is that your beard?
That is my beard. I would like to claim I'm growing it out for Halloween, but I'm mostly just lazy. But it is going to lend itself to something.
So did I tell you that I have to go to Halloween as Blippi?
No, come on, has Sky really not moved past Blippi yet? I get to be Luigi.
Are you Luigi?
Yeah, Asher wants us all to be Mario characters. Yes, it's Donkey Kong.
Jess is Donkey.
Oh yeah. My mother is Yoshi. My mom's coming as Yoshi, and Asher.
There's 2 Halloweens. We get to be dinosaurs for the other one.
Okay, yeah, we did dinosaur dragon stuff last year, I think, so that was pretty good. All
Full
right,
body stuff. All right, yeah.
We'll count it down. So let me do my little mid-show countdown, and then people will start caring what we're talking about again. You want a Wayne's World?
You may commence caring, people.
3. Doing it to myself. You auto point to yourself. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, live edition, also released after the fact via the traditional podcast stream. I really hope more of you do transfer over and come watch us live, because today I am still tucked in the corner of my bedroom with a very old draft board behind my head, and the great Aaron Bruski is in a lawn chair in his backyard, shaded by an orange grove. No man has ever been more relaxed on a fantasy basketball podcast. Brew, I don't even know if the big dog needs to bark today. I feel like the big dog is resting.
Yeah, I'm just chilling, man. I don't believe in wearing suits on the sidelines. I believe you just wear your uniform.
Yeah, that's right. We're the little pre-show antics there. So to those that are listening on the recorded stream, this will be traditional Thursday shows. Myself at Dan Besbris on Twitter. He is at Aaron Bruski. Video feed, folks, you can actually see that on your screens right now. We're just going to be going over some of the big storylines of the week. We'll try to hit questions. If you guys are watching live, throw some questions in there that are more broad topic. We like to try to hit the broad stuff, this strategic stuff, as opposed to just like, here's my team, who should I drop? That's just, there isn't time, unfortunately, for questions like that, because we do have a stopwatch going on Thursday shows. But yeah, I think we can probably just dive right in, because yesterday was a big Wednesday, and I feel like the big story of the day is that Damian Lillard strained his calf. I don't know if you agree or disagree. It just, I don't know. It's sad that he got hurt this fast, because he looked really, really good prior to last night.
Sure, and I think everybody roots for Dame. And the good news is it does appear like this is minor. He said he would come back into the game if it was a playoff game. They've already ruled him out for Friday. He's releasing pictures of him singing Baby Shark. I thought that was highly relatable. I almost warned him. I warned him about the Blippi, stop at Coco Melon. You don't got to go to the Blippi, because you might have to dress up like this Blippi for Halloween. Not that I would know.
I expect you to be wearing that costume on next Thursday's show.
Damn it.
If that doesn't get people to watch live, I don't know what will.
Oh, this is bad, Dan. I think this
You're
could
not
have legs, and
you're
I
not that
really,
worried? I like strained calves, those are slow. I'll be back in the
yeah,
playoff. I don't know, man.
I think they'll just, they'll probably give him an extra game maybe after Friday. If he comes back after Friday, I forget when they play next after that, then you'll know it's probably not a big deal because they're not being dumb with Dame. His this 2-year deal, this iteration of the Blazers is really about win now. If it goes to hell for whatever reason, then I mean I wouldn't put it past Dame to stay, but the argument for him to stay is practically gone. So I think they want to do this right. They want to make a deep playoff run. So I'm not too worried about it, but I think we'll get a good pulse on it based on does he return on after the Friday game or not. And yeah, I mean the burst, the explosion, it's there. It's good to see.
I don't think he's back after the Friday game. That's my guess. I think he's out for a week. That's my.
I would tend to agree that at least one more game after Friday, it doesn't make sense. I haven't looked at their schedule very closely, but
and they're 4-1. It's a good start.
It's a good time to do this. I mean, to your point, yeah. If he comes back, it means it's nothing, I think. But I would rest them if I was them.
The other huge story, should we call it huge? I'm sort of hinting at what I'm about to bring up, is Bull playing 20 minutes a game. Is that the surprise of the season so far? I say yes.
Yeah. It definitely. And just in like player prognostication, watching Bull play at any point in time up until the regular season, it's like, what kind of crazy dumb thing is he going to do on the floor next? And now he's kind of not doing that stuff while making plays, really using his talents well, and he's completely wiped Mo Bamba off the map. And it appears as if he's, the number 2 guy there with a good per minute package. And it's still kind of hard to wrap your head around, but I don't see why we should be tapping the brakes. If he's made that leap into that number 2 spot and he's a good per minute guy, it's Orlando. I mean, that place is ripe for something like this to happen. So I don't think you should be kicking around on wires. That's for sure.
That is just, I mean, it happened a couple of times, and I have to admit, I didn't believe that he could keep up with NBA level talent. And so far he kind of is this year. I mean, that sort of came out of nowhere.
We've seen flashes though. It's just, he does so many stupid things on the floor. Like it's hard to unsee how much bad previously, not this year. I mean, just ill-advised shots. I mean, not understanding the tempo or the flow of the game, turnovers, you name it. Just like that's his game. And I kind of think like that might be the middle path here where it's like, he totally sucks, or he's going to be, this great fantasy pickup and can say keep with 25 minutes per game. The middle road is probably that he starts doing some silly stuff again and kind of just hovers into a late round asset. That might be what we see here. But I mean, Wendell Carter Jr. is an injury prone guy. There's a lot of ways this could work out really well for Bull.
Yeah, there's injury news everywhere. I'm trying to figure out what direction we should go at this exact moment, because we got like the Cole Anthony stuff from this morning where he's out a while. DeLon Wright is out a while. I don't know.
I was looking at the Cole. Yeah, I was looking at the Cole stuff earlier, and I think they have. It's one of those injuries where you don't really have a good beneficiary. I think you're just going to see a ton of Paolo. I think you're going to see a ton of Franz. Is it Franz or France? I don't know. Franz holding on to the ball. That's kind of Banchero's thing anyway, is dribble. So you're going to get more of that. The entire backcourt is out. So they could even really get funky with some lineups and bring in more Bull, and just go big across the top and have your ball handlers be super big. And I don't know who they're playing in the next couple games. That might determine, do they have a super speedy, small point guard that forces them to bring somebody like RJ Barrett. I mean, their lineup is really screwed. They
RJ
Caleb, or yeah, right. And Caleb Houston, like there's some guys that really are not going to be valuable and also very unheard of that are going to get 20, 25 minutes per game, but I think they're just going to roll big lineups. I don't know if there's an angle to sell Banchero. He's really going to get a ton of shots this year, so I don't know that anybody should necessarily be fading him. I think his field goal percentage and some of the inefficiencies around the edges are going to keep him from crossing the top 50 in a good scenario. There's also the concern of what do the Magic do at the end of the year if they get into the tank race and whatnot. Wagner might be the guy that's, if you haven't gotten in on him yet, his rankings aren't eye-popping yet, and he's probably their safest high-end fantasy play. And in this, say, week-long stretch, I could see him going off and then being unacquirable. Probably the last Cole Anthony take I got.
I want to get to the next, like, kind of warm story from last night, but I cannot get over just looking every time I look back at the screen and you're just like philosophizing in an outdoor lawn chair. You don't have any stats in front of you. You don't have any rosters. You don't have any box scores. You have nothing. You can't even see what's on your phone because it's sitting on a table like 6 feet away. More power to you, man. This is insane. Caleb Martin is, I think, the other story from last night. And we were all just kind of waiting for that one to pop because he's the starting small / power forward on a team that needed him to be it.
Waiting for Cody too. Cody, when he's done being injured, there will be a point in time when he has the Caleb experience. And whether or not it's worth waiting for, whether or not the odds are kind of as strong, I don't know how bad that injury is, but that will happen with him too. They're both that good. Any team that didn't go after him in reality ball, the two of these guys, they don't have an active front office. These guys shouldn't have been signed for what they were signed. Somebody should have come in and plucked them for whatever percentage more. But Caleb, yeah, I mean, he's top 75 guy right now. And there's really no reason to fade that. I mean, maybe around the edges we can say this stat, that stat, whatever. But he is good enough to where they consider using him as a 4 or even a 5 in a super small lineup, which is wild. He's not a 5. He's not even a 4. But he plays long enough, strong enough to make that happen. And he does everything that the Heat like. And he's just going to be rock solid as long as he's, not hurt. And the Heat love him. This one's an easy one. He's just going to keep going.
That was one of my favorite storylines in the first week and a half, if only because he got dropped in like copious numbers of leagues, which was, I mean, he wasn't drafted in every league, but like if you watch those first few games he had, I think it was the injury in the third one against Toronto. No, he got tossed. That's right. He got tossed and then he got suspended for a game. But if you looked at the first two, he just missed some shots, but otherwise 4 and then 7 rebounds. He had some assists. He had 4 steals in his first 3 games. You're just waiting for that game where the numbers leveled off and he just was getting punted over and over and over again. And I was sitting in a number of leagues where I didn't take him towards the end of a draft. I figured I would take some other flyers. I'm like, this guy's, he's literally falling into our laps in a lot of leagues because I do think, and this is actually a topic I want to talk to you about, which isn't really like a hottest pickup or drop kind of thing, but just this idea of like how to analyze a game if you can't watch it live, because there is kind of a right way and a wrong way to look at a box score. And I think Cam Johnson is a perfect example of this because he hasn't popped yet, but he did for the first time in their last ball game play 30 plus minutes where he gets dropped because he was his shooting night was absolutely atrocious. It was like the kind of thing you'd set on fire in your office waste paper basket if Brew was in an office today. But then you have to make sure you're analyzing it right, don't you? Oh, I think we just lost him. Oh no, we lost Brew's video. Oh wait, he's back.
My bad. People just calling me. I just hit the red. I hit the red button.
Oh, on your watch.
Now.
All right. So how would you analyze a box score as it pertains to someone like Caleb Martin or Cam Johnson if you aren't able to watch the game live as soon as Brew kills off this next phone call coming through?
Yeah, whoever called for the second time, not a good day for them.
I hope it's not important. Not as important as this.
Not as important as this. So you really got to have a good sense of what the standard box score looks like. And I mean, from a gambling standpoint, like it's like looking at a box score, you can tell if a team is healthy or sick based on that box score. And if it gets lopsided in one direction, you see that like 2 or 3 players, they're not getting what they normally get. You can kind of get the sense of like whatever that narrative storyline surrounding the team is, you get the sense of what could be happening, should be happening, and you get that backstory. But the stuff that you're talking about, Dan, that is almost like low-hanging fruit. Like Cam Johnson's not going to produce at that level with X minutes all season long. He's currently way below what he will be producing with an obvious storyline of the tailbone and the hip and just being dinged up to start the year. So that's just easy buy low territory. Kind of like Desmond Bain was easy buy low territory after the first week, not just being undervalued from the start, during draft season, but then, getting hurt, looking terrible while he was hurt in the first game of the season when guys are always out of shape, always dealing with cramps, always getting into high gear. And so these are the opportunities early in the season to really jump on some big values.
All right, let's see what kind of questions we got coming through today. There are other storylines, but let's see if we can find some stuff that's more broad stroke relevant. I don't know why it keeps like popping up, disappearing, and popping up again. It feels like a glitch with StreamYard today, but it seems to be there now. This question is from Jack, and I'll sort of bend it into the way that we can go broad stroke. Games cap. This is a format I play a ton of. Brew, you do, I think, more weekly roto where you're not worried as much about the games cap, but you are worried about like what you can squeeze out of a player over a given couple of days. What is more valuable, the off the bench per minute guys or a decent starter? Someone like a Grant Williams and Caleb Martin versus an Isaiah Jackson and Okongwu or Bruce Brown and Royce O'Neal. I mean, some of that is obviously situation dependent. I'll just throw my thoughts in and then we'll come over to you, Brew, on this one, because this is a format I play a lot. In a 12-teamer, it depends. Bruce got somebody walking by. In a 12-teamer, for me, at least at the beginning of the year, I'm desperately hunting guys that are top 75 rank or higher. So someone like, say, a Grant Williams, who's off to a really great start, and we'll probably come back to earth a little bit because he's shooting like 1,000 so far, is a guy that probably more rounds out your lineup a little bit, where he's going to be probably between 75 and 110 and kind of bouncing around a little bit over the course of the year. And that's a really useful guy in a lot of situations. It's not the guy I'm targeting right this second, where like I probably would prefer to have Isaiah Jackson on my bench right now on the chance that he gets going nutso, because then you're looking at maybe top 50, maybe even higher. So I value that more right now. Although to the same token, I like Caleb Martin a lot. I think he actually does have a chance to be like 75 or better as the season rolls along. Brew, how do you approach that kind of games cap dilemma early in a season?
I think the question is a great one. And I think that in a games cap scenario, you're hoping you don't fall behind waiting on some of these stash guys to start producing at a top 100, top 75 level. And that makes it really challenging because you just don't know when it's going to tip. Indy is kind of desirable right now because, frankly, the Lakers, I don't know why they haven't called Indy for Buddy Hield. I don't know what's going on there. I got no intel. I got, no feel. It seems like it's just dormant. They're probably waiting for the Lakers to get super desperate. And I don't even know what they could offer anyway if they've got anything in the coffers.
How much more desperate can they be? The Lakers are historically awful at shooting right now.
But who's the GM of that squad? Who's the GM of the Lakers?
I haven't a clue right now.
I would venture to say it's LeBron James, and everybody's kind of looking around and saying, see, LeBron, it won't work. And he's sort of sitting there like, yeah, you know what? It's not going to work, but it was my idea.
So now I have to eat it.
He's going to have to eat it, but he's eating very slowly, like a 3-year-old looking at his broccoli going, I ain't going to eat that.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
they're deep in their own head. Have you watched much Lakers so
oh
far?
yeah, it's
Shooters are
funny
all
because
taking
I
an
hate
extra
watching the
half
Lakers.
second. They're loading up. They're like, come on, this one's going to do it. And then every once in a while, one goes in and the whole team's like, yeah. And then they miss 6 in a row right after.
I hate watching the
nuts.
Lakers. I really do. But
It's like watching a baseball team in a slump right now. Like everyone's stepping to the plate like, I'm guessing curveball. I'm guessing curveball. And
it's turned into a horror movie, and I like that. I mean, the Russ thing is just great. I grabbed Russ at like 140 in a draft, whatever the number was, and so I've put him in, and it's like watching. You just don't know what you're going to get. That 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Druidia password
you like that
tweet you had the other day? That was great, and also like what a line! Like I wasn't even mad at him. I mean, it's hurting my team. I took a flyer on the guy. I don't care. I hope he gets traded. It's like, where could he go? I don't know. Like Oklahoma City to me. Come on, guys. This one, now that I think about it, this is too obvious. Like, you want to tank, you want to lose, throw Russ in the lineup, and let him, rack up a quadruple double or with turnovers.
Yeah,
and
that's like where we need the Shooter McGavin drop. That's like, you know what else would sell tickets, Doug? A golfer with an arm growing out of his ass.
Hey, speaking of OKC, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, #1 rated in 9-cat.
Yeah, that dude was getting drafted in the late 40s because he had that preseason foot. I don't remember what it was.
Honestly, I still don't think that. I'm not 100% sure this is going to work out for people who drafted him. Like, I get it.
Games cap, he's all right, but
yeah, right. But even then, like, what if he plays 50 games? At that point, I don't think he's okay in games cap.
Here's one that's kind of broad, but also not. Again, I can't figure out why that keeps flickering on the screen. What do we do with Monty Morris after hearing about DeLon Wright missing 6 to 8 weeks? My initial thought was if you could get equal value for Morris right now, I was doing it because he was generally getting a lot of preseason buzz, but he's still just kind of Monty Morris. But now there's like kind of nobody behind him. So shouldn't he just plod his way like a round to 2 rounds earlier without DeLon around?
I go 1 round. I think Denny Avdija, if I'm saying that right.
No, but that's okay.
Can we get an update? Denny
Avdija.
Yeah. If we can get that right, Avdija, I think he's been dinged up and not really himself, not necessarily a consistent or guaranteed hit here, but he's been available everywhere. And he has a quasi point guard game that they've wanted to develop in the past. So it makes sense to me that he might become more stable and produce at an average 125 with some upside because he's a guy that they've invested into. He's got a good NBA build. If he can put it together, there's an interesting stat set somewhere in there. Maybe not this year, but I think he's got a shot at top 100.
I'm throwing this question up on the board because I mostly just want to talk about the 2 players in it. Not so much like who do you value more, Jalen Smith or Alperen Şengün, but Jalen Smith has been awesome since that game where he got clocked in the mug, and Alperen Şengün has been not awesome and then sick. But I don't want to get too caught up in the moment on either of them. I know you and I were both very high on Jalen Smith coming into the year. We were both actually kind of low on Şengün coming into the year. Have you seen anything to change the way you feel on either of them? And what do you think the path is for Şengün over the rest of this season?
I think he's going to zigzag between like top 50 and top 150 lines.
That's big. That is a wide berth.
Absolutely. Well, this is what happens when a guy isn't really going to get you stats in, say, 4 categories on a given night. The big question is his free throw shooting. If he can solidify that, then because that's controllable, right? Like, he's never going to become a big defensive guy. 3-point shooting is like, it's on the horizon for every player in the NBA. But are we going to look at Sinjin and think he's going to shoot well this year? Probably not. It's that free throw he can control. And so if he can get that up in the 75-80% range, then that 150 range drops to like 100. And you're really talking about a guy that could possibly hit top 75, which was about where he was drafted in any league that wasn't, completely psycho. Which there was a lot. I seen him go 50 at times. I think I saw him go 45 once.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes. So that's where I see him at. I think the Bruno Fernando thing is extremely important for St. John because the other guy, his name's hard to say. It's like
Garuba.
Thank you.
You're still doing this with no computer and no access to names or rosters of any kind.
Well, he actually had a really good preseason, and he was on the radar. I forget his national team, who he plays for, but he was getting minutes there. And so it was not surprising to see him step in and take the placeholder minutes at the starting position, because they, I think, correctly realized that St. John can't be with the starting unit and be worth all of those minutes, because those other guys are chucking like crazy, and you want to have St. John have the ball. So if you're going to get crushed on defense, which is the case no matter what with him, that you're getting the offense while you're out there. So they've correctly gotten that part right. And that's actually very key for his fantasy value, because if he's not offensively producing and they're getting crushed on the inside, they'd be tempted to play him more like 20 minutes a game. And so that would crush his value. Jalen Smith is he was of the grouping of these massive upside guys. I think I mentioned on this last show, he kind of fell toward the bottom of it because of the knee stuff, but that obviously hasn't been a problem early on, and he looks like somebody that they have locked into his role, which is nice. Like, there's a lot of unpredictability going on right now with those guys. Miles Turner's back. Goga was the odd man out, and actually Goga has looked pretty damn good, for what he is and who he is. He's coming into this season athletic by his standards, and I think that the future of that team, minus Miles Turner, which is another reason I'm kind of paying attention to the Lakers stuff, because and again, I'm not following the Lakers and their assets and what they could do, but if you got LeBron in his twilight and AD in his twilight, I mean, that guy looks terrible out there, by the way.
His back is busted. But he's got a crap ton of defensive stats, though.
He's absolutely killing it. I think he's top 7, top 9 in 9-cat right now. He looks like an old man, and I don't think it's getting any better. So point being is, like, and it's funny, you go, who could you pair next to another center is the Miles Turner's question. You play with Sabonis all that time. So maybe question's more focused on a Sabonis-like character, but like, if you're going to have two big men, Miles Turner and Anthony Davis, to me, is even better than Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, as far as, like, can you actually pull it off? And so, like, if I'm the Lakers and I've already mortgaged my future and sold the franchise to LeBron, might as well, like, here's like how many future draft picks, let's make this thing at least have a chance of getting to the playoffs and maybe advancing to the next round or something.
The rim protection would be incredible on that team. You got two.
It'd be compelling.
Yeah. And Miles Turner can actually shoot a little bit. Anthony Davis can't anymore. But
honestly, Hield is the most hilarious person to plug into that situation anyway, because, like, he's just a space cadet, and like, watching LeBron blame him for everything, like, that alone should be a sitcom.
But he might actually hit a 3-pointer during a ball game, which
he could hit. He's like one of the best shooters. He's probably like a top 3 shooter in the NBA in terms of, like, the ball barely hits the net when he shoots. So he is that guy.
You don't even need a quick release with LeBron. These guys have 8 seconds to get these 3-pointers up, and they clang them anyway. By the way, I like this comment, so I threw it up on the screen. Next week, Dan Besbris live from an In-N-Out. Honest to goodness, if I could get them to sponsor this thing, I would do every show from an In-N-Out drive.
So are you a huge In-N-Out guy?
I love In-N-Out.
Wow.
I've had it probably 8,500 times in my life.
You complain about gut problems. I think I know why, Dan.
No, listen, that stuff I can digest super easy. You talked about broccoli earlier in the show. You give me a piece of broccoli, stomach ache. Immediate.
Because you never eat it.
Oh, no, it's horrible. It's fiber. I can't do natural fibers. I did all that stuff in college, and it killed me. So I went back.
Other people did drugs. Dan ate vegetables.
I ate vegetables, and I just had an upset stomach all the time. So I need to eat, like, Pop-Tarts and In-N-Out, and I'm good. Rumble through the day with no problem. Here's one. What are we doing with Clay Thompson? What are we doing with Clay? They're on a ramp up with him right now. So I think we kind of had to know that coming into the year. And that's the case for a lot of guys right now, which this happens every year. And it does create a little bit of a short-term memory thing for fantasy players. But let me see if I can name, and Colin Sexton got hurt an additional
Wait,
time.
wait till he comes back in his next game pissed off he got ejected for the first time in his career.
Oh yeah, cool.
I mean, like,
Clay.
yeah, he's going to come in and the team is going to feed him, and they're going to want to get Clay's spirit up. He's the cultural heart of that team. They're not going to let him go down like that.
But also, the restrictors on him right now. They're not letting him play a ton of minutes. They're not overdoing it. And it's the same case with a number of Jamal Murray, Kawhi, who's back to having the knee thing happening again. Let's put him off to the side a little bit. But Colin Sexton, a lot of these guys that have come off of big things, I think there's this inclination to forget that just because they had the whole offseason off to rehab, that they're not just going to play 37 minutes on the first game back. They're not going to have their legs right away. And I think it's created buy low opportunities on almost every one of them, with maybe the exception of Kawhi, who's extra hurt. That would probably a little too scary for me right now. What do you think about all those guys?
I couldn't stomach Kawhi where he was going in drafts. I had him ranked highly to respect Kawhi. But I'm glad I didn't get put in that position anywhere to have to make that choice, because people were jumping on him earlier. Clay is Clay, and I think actually Clay, because he loves to play basketball and he's had so much time off, you're going to see probably, it's funny, they can almost like plan this out in the office ahead of time, like pre-script their season, where they go, okay, Steph, you want to get going early? Okay, cool. Clay, we're going to ramp you up. All right, you got the middle of the season. You haven't been able to play very much. We're going to then turn and rely on you. And then Jordan Poole, okay, once you and Dre get the beef worked out, there's going to be a point in time, because Jordan Poole's extremely buy low candidate. Jordan Poole probably starting like November 15th or December 1st, they're going to be like, okay, hey, you're our guy that we can just, run out there and just give a ton of touches to, and you're going to carry us, all the way, the rest of the way throughout the year. As these older guys, especially in March and April, start to peel back a little bit. Golden State seems really easy. Hey, can I get like 2 bars on Nick Richards before we have to cut out?
Yeah, we got a couple minutes left. I was actually going to torture you first. Would you like to be tortured first or second?
Always first.
You got to lean in for this one. Sorry, I'll read it aloud for the pod listeners after Bruce's reaction to
it. Dude. That's a loaded question. It's a loaded question because it's true.
It says no. By the way,
for the listeners.
No disrespect, Brew. You kind of look like the character Blippi.
My wife has a thing for the character Blippi. I'm just saying.
Do the side by side, Dan. Do it is another post that's come up in this thing. Where is it? Here we go. Brooks says I had to look up Blippi, but dude, you're right.
This whole like dress up like Blippi thing, I'm like, I think this is like a setup, to introduce something new by my wife. She's dressing as Mika. If anybody's familiar with the show.
Is that like Blippi's sidekick?
As Blippi's sidekick with benefits is my guess. But
hey, look at that. This show is taking a weird turn. I'm enjoying it though.
Of course you are.
Is RJ Hampton a pickup? Sorry, that jumped on Nick Richards. Sorry, pause.
Wait. Talk about a hard left. No.
Okay,
no, he's not.
Well, let's talk about Nick Richards. He's hovering right on the edge there, and he can do it, but life's hard as a backup. So what do we do with that?
Yeah, life is hard as a backup, and it just depends on the league size that you're in. Like in a 2-center league where the top 200 is rostered, Nick Richards was a huge pickup. Like in the fab bids that I was involved in, the lowest he went for was like 150 out of 1,000, and the highest I got outbid by one of the best fantasy players out there. This is the one time I got outbid. I went for like 430, and then I got outbid by 480 was the bid. So like half of the fab budget for the entire year. Because recognizing in a 2-center league that somebody in his spot, if he gets up to say 25 minutes per game, top 75 guy, maybe even more in that scenario. And how does he get there? Mason Plumlee, little long in the tooth, tanking team. That's the scenario you see right there. So when I saw we got the preseason news from Clifford talking him up, seeing like, hey, this guy can play a little bit. My instinct was like, after the second the first game when we saw him play well. The second game, I was like, all right, we got to watch this thing. So I actually watched really closely, put a ton of film time into this to figure out what was this, if I was going to make these big bids, to see what was going on there. So the quick scouting report on him is
I knew that we were going to get something. Bruce,
the mailman walked over. That was the mailman earlier, and I almost brought him on the show.
Are birds fighting in the orange tree?
They're just kind of loitering, and I don't know. We'll have a conversation with the birds here in a little bit, but back to Nick Richards. Do you want me to talk about the birds? I could talk about the birds.
No.
He's a smallish bird. He's got a good work ethic. Late round pick.
Talked about any teams that are bird logos yet?
He wants us to talk about the Atlanta Hawks, Dan, and the great play of DeJounte Murray and Trae Young, and both those guys getting their field goal percentage where they need to be. Onyeka Okongwu pissing everybody off because it's early in the year, and Clint Capella soaking up all the minutes because he quieted down, just like my 3-year-old.
Yeah, we talked about birds, and he's good now.
Yeah, he just flew away.
He got what he wanted.
Bird.
Good bird. All right, back to Nick Richards.
Nick Richards, players doing things coaches love. This guy, he was, and in this game where he had the big line the other day, I mean, the announcers were going crazy, and it's that one announcer who goes crazy over anything anyway. I forget his name, out of Charlotte. But they were...
Eric Collins.
Yeah. I love the way he calls a game. Not traditional, but the way I think that's exciting.
Big energy.
Big energy. Kind of feels like a WWE show.
A little bit. He did a couple of Dodgers road games one year where they were like demoing a bunch of people when Charlie Steiner was going to stop traveling. And it was, I think baseball people felt like it was too much.
I was going to say, how's that work in baseball?
I actually really liked it. He was just like, base hit into left field. And
baseball people need to get out and dance. It was like a Footloose movie or something.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, sorry. But Nick Richards, there was some, he's coming in the bookends at the end of the first quarter, the early second quarter. And I swear he didn't stop jumping off the screen from the beginning of the time he played to the end of the time he played. And in the little things, like ball goes up, ball gets rebounded. This guy is turning and running both directions on the floor in a sprinter's pose, the way it gets taught. And then running the court and turning and setting the screen, that getting the screen assist, which everybody loves, getting the screen assist for player X, and doing it in a way that, frankly, if he hadn't been perfect the entire time, it wouldn't have happened. And so a coach watching that's realizing the degree of difficulty on what he's doing is extremely high. The motor is high, so the IQ is high. He's also playing sort of in a multifaceted way. The blocks and steals numbers are really disappointing from a fantasy perspective. The blocks and steals rates from his NBA, his low amount of minutes in the NBA, are actually better than what he entered the NBA with. So the numbers aren't there yet, but watching the fundamentals, I would think that he's not going to be a huge steals and blocks guy, that there's a happy medium there that's going to produce more value than what you're seeing right now, which is in the 110 range, I want to say, in about 20 minutes per game. So if that's his floor, the question would be, is Mark Williams going to come in and steal some of his cheese? There was a 31-minute night for Plumlee last night, and that was a close overtime game. Is that when Clifford wants a win? Is that what he's going to give Mason Plumlee, and then Richards' numbers go down? But after all of that is done, and yes, Clifford is a veteran coach that's not going to just outright tank. I think that you're going to see Richards have a couple different ways to make this stay in the top 100. And then heaven forbid something happens to Mason Plumlee. And, Nick Richards gets in there with 25. I could see him actually playing starters minutes in the event that Plumlee goes out. They just graduate him and say, look, you are actually good enough to handle this. 26, 28 minutes per game. And that's when I think those bids, those fab bids start to make sense. And, you start to see that upside kick in.
Before we start we're not in full wind down mode yet, but we are getting towards the end of the program. I want to remind everybody, we've been bouncing between 70 and 100 viewers live on this thing. please do click the thumbs up button and subscribe to the YouTube page, because Brew and I are doing this every Thursday. David and William are doing head-to-head strategy shows on Sundays. We've got JP and his squad doing football shows every Sunday. There's a lot of actually really good free content here on our YouTube page that's been ramping up over the last few months. So make sure you subscribe, click the like button, then other people can find it, doing a sort of a community service that way. I know you're supposed to say smash it, but I don't believe in smashing buttons on a computer. You should gently tap the mouse click button on the thumbs up and the subscribe button. So thank you for that. This is what I wanted to get to here, because we got a little bit into the Magic, but there is one player waiting in the wings that we haven't talked about yet. With all of the injuries happening there, could this be an inside track for Markelle Fultz if he can get back before some of the other guys?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, Mark
like it too.
Yeah. I mean, it just is the injury timeline. If he can get back, he's a good basketball player after all of the ups and downs, and it's just sad to see him have another injury to start the year. But if they say he's coming back in a week, and the info on Cole Anthony's not good, you're looking at a guy that I think would be a top 75 guy. Even like right out the chute after one or two rust games, I think like right off the bat, top 75, and really hovering there. Not really wavering, up or down at that time.
We haven't done in a while, Brew?
Lightning round?
Lightning round. You got it, man. We're going to do a little lightning round at the end here. Should I hold on to John Wall? I'm a no on that one.
I'm more of a yes than I was at the beginning of the season, but I think it's pretty... Yeah, I'm a no. Lightning round, no. Because I think the durability, like I saw him working out his knee during the game, no.
Yeah, there's just too many bodies back there, too. What do we do with Josh Richardson? My take is wait for 2 Spurs to be resting and then deploy him in those spots.
That's the easy way. I think top 150 the rest of the way. This one was, I wish I had been a little bit more aggressive there just to get the number right at the end of the year. But he was the veteran guy that that Pop was going to lean on.
Do we have a timeline on Jalen Suggs? I honestly don't remember.
I would go week to week.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. What to do? Where I had a Jalen Duren thing here and I lost the comment to throw it up on the screen. There it is. Jalen Duren, hold or drop?
Hold.
Yeah, that's what I would do there too. I can't do that one. I know the answer to this one.
Can't do that one now. I want to know what it is.
It was a 3-for-3 trade.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too much. Sorry guys.
Spicy.
These have to be a little. Yeah, they have to be. We got to be able to pack them in here real quick. I know the answer to this one, but I'm throwing it on the screen anyway. Alperen Şengün or Jordan Poole?
Jordan Poole.
By I'm guessing a pretty substantial margin. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 to 3 rounds.
Let's see here. Jabari Smith versus Mikal Bridges head-to-head. That's a good one, actually, because they're very different fantasy profiles.
It's Bridges. I mean, Jabari Smith will be more fun. But Bridges, they could turn the team over to Bridges, not like all the way, but like, something with Chris Paul, something with Devin Booker, whatever it might be. And they say, all right, it's your time now, Mikal. That could happen. They're already seeing it happen a little bit. So it's Mikal.
We talked a bunch about Caleb a little earlier in the show, so we're not ignoring this question. Just rewind. You can watch the replay if you're doing it live, or if you're listening to the pod, you heard it already. So not ignoring you. We did talk a bunch about Caleb Martin a few minutes back. Kevin Huerter or Trey Jones, are they streamable today in a points league? This one I bit off more than I could chew on this question, I think. Trey Jones seems to be.
It's Memphis that they're playing today, right? The Kings?
Let's go to the board. I don't have tonight's calendar in one of my tabs.
While you're looking at it, tell me, because we're already knee deep, tell me who the Spurs play.
Spurs don't play tonight.
So we'll just go that they play whoever they play soon.
Chicago tomorrow.
Both these teams tonight, Kings and Grizzlies, are going to play tough because the Kings haven't won a game and the Grizzlies are trying to get right. Huerter is the Kings bailout guy. I'll just tell you the stat line for Huerter, and then you can kind of pick from there. It'll be 15 points for Herder, 4 rebounds.
Trey Mann, not Trey Jones.
Trey Mann.
Now
there's a lot of interchangeable names this year.
Yeah, Terrence Mann, Trey Mann. This is like a Wheel of Fortune category.
I would go Trey Mann because they're thin in Sunderland and points.
Yeah, he's fun right now too. It's fun.
But to finish that stat line for Herder, it'll be 15 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Nay, 3 assists. And 1 block.
Nay. Is Pat Bev someone you can hold as a glue guy? I don't think you have to, is my take on that. He's been fine, but,
let's see what happens when Schroeder comes back. Like, they just need people who can dribble and shoot, and he can do those things kind of well. Yeah. So.
Oh, they're trying to get us to fight.
Over what?
Keldon Johnson versus Mikal Bridges. I love them both.
Keldon, I'm telling you, like, I waited on this all last year, but if he can hit free throws and just shoot a little bit more efficiently, the value is going to just, he'll gain 2, 3 rounds, 4 rounds off that. So if that happens, theoretically, he could cross up Mikal. But look, Mikal had a worst case scenario year last year and finished, 20?
Something like that, yeah. And there's
a 9-cat, so... Yeah. He's going to be better this year, so it's like, can Keldon get that high? I don't know.
Is Jaden McDaniels must roster in 12-team? Yeah, he's been awesome so far. Absolutely.
Which is an is anybody even talking about that? He's been great.
Yeah, quietly amazing. What is his rank so far? 42. He's 42. Yeah. He's dominating. Yeah, the steals and blocks might come down a little bit. And
you're also going to have Cody Martin come back. You're going to have LaMelo come back. It's not going to be quite as easy.
Oh wait, this is Jaden and not Jalen.
Oh,
sorry, I should have left the question on the screen.
Sorry, Jalen, he's still doing well.
Yeah, Jalen's been decent. Jaden's been a monster. Absolutely.
Yeah, his stuff's coming and going. That team is going to have some serious issues. They're already having those issues. And shout out to my guy there, who I'm all of a sudden forgetting.
Jalen Noel. I knew.
Yeah, my guy. Yeah, you knew who it was.
Yeah, because you had him as like the top value free agent on your free agent rankings back in June or whenever you put that piece
Proving to you the top 100 fantasy players in the world could probably run circles around the bottom 20 NBA GMs in the league. All you got to do is pay attention. And they're not, frankly, they're just not. There's a lot of nepotism and, cronyism. And I think we should just take sports ethos and sell ourselves as a package to a team.
The Lakers need help.
Can we create a ethos? What's like 720? Ethos 720?
We got Stephen Bagel, man. That dude can handle the front office, the contractual stuff. Bagel's on it.
We got Dio. We'll do the overseas stuff.
Yeah, we're good to go.
We got Panda. Oh, by the way, Panda's 4,000 word missives.
Woof.
I challenge somebody. I challenge one of you out there to find me better fantasy analysis.
Yeah, you guys got to check that out. I think that's a Fantasy Pass feature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 4,200 words from Panda. Next question, and this is the last one. Can you build a competitive roster just consisting of different versions of the name Jalen? I think the answer is yes.
I mean, you're going to get some serious sleeper value with like Jalen
Suggs, Brown,
Jalen Smith,
Daniels, Smith.
If you're going any spelling,
yeah,
that's a big key there. But yeah, absolutely. I wonder if Jalen Rose inspired any Jalen names.
There's a lot of Jadens and Jalens that all happened at the same time. Yeah, see that? And right on cue, we had add in Jaden. You could build like a full roster and G League team of just Jalens and Jadens this year.
They're gonna stream all of Wembayana's games.
Yeah,
the NBA. I don't know why I just brought that.
That's because the Lakers stink. They need something to put on national TV.
Can they do that instead of Lakers? And actually, I was going to say Knicks, but the Knicks are kind of fun now.
Yeah, they got someone who can run the offense in there.
And shout out Hartenstein. I mean, 10 minutes a game, just getting it done.
Yeah, I know. Could you please get him to 20? Brandon would like us to take over the Lakers broadcast. I'm down with that as well.
Yeah,
I'm
I wouldn't.
fully on board.
I did some play-by-play the other day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Where?
I was just talking with Ben Hood. You know, the game was on the TV, and I just started calling the action. And
There you go.
And he said that I might be better than Dan Besbris. I mean, don't quote me on it.
Oh, Hoodie. No, say it ain't so. That's our timestamp, by the way, everybody. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks, everyone, for watching live. To those of you that are listening to the podcast version of this, I will have some closing remarks, so you don't have to shut it down or anything like that. To those watching live on YouTube, once again, please subscribe, like the video, all that good stuff. Hope you'll join us again next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time. He is at Aaron Bruski with gardeners around, so he's muted himself. Go follow him on Twitter. I'm at Dan Besbris. You can see him on your screen. Again, recorded folks, stick with me here. Video folks, toodaloo.